So, I've kind of been slacking off on a lot of things lately, and that kind of includes the Christmas special. So, here's a top 10 list, CB's best games of 2016. This list was super freaking hard to make because there was just so many good games in 2016, just as there was in 2015. Remember, in 2015, we got The Witcher and Pillars of Eternity. Honestly, there was just so many games that came out this year, I almost didn't realize just how amazing of a year it was until I started putting this bad boy together. Now keep in mind, there were a myriad of games I didn't even get to play this year because there was just so damn many and I literally didn't have enough money to buy them all. For example, Battlefield 1 and Dishonored 2. I didn't even get a chance to play those two games, but hopefully I'll actually get that opportunity before next year's top 10 list. So let's start first with the honorable mentions, of which there are 5. Whoa, right, you figured this would be on my list. Well, to be honest, I haven't really gotten a chance to sit down and fully experience Civ 6 yet. I mean, it looks good, and it smells good, and from what I've tasted, it tastes pretty good. But for some reason, I just haven't had the desire to delve into Civilization 6 like I did 3, 4, and 5. Now, I know that this game technically came out in 2015, but I didn't actually buy it until around May of this year, and I really didn't realize what I was missing out on. It was Shadow of Mordor with cars, basically. Customization of both max in your vehicle, not to mention that you could capture other vehicles and drive across a huge open world and battle for control of parts of the map, all in a fluid fighting combat system. It was freaking wonderful. And you know what else is wonderful? This guy.
No. She's knowledge from the numinous, divinely inspired. She wills herself upon this world. Look!
You were taken too soon, you sweet angel. This game was beyond satisfyingly brutal. Seriously, sneaking up on my friends as the Wraith and throwing them up on hooks was one of the most exhilarating experiences of the year. And I mean, come on, who couldn't love that face?
She's so beautiful.
While this game was not the greatest strategy game in the world, it was incredibly interesting and it had an amazing premise. Truly, the premise is the whole reason I'm mentioning it at all. Oriental Empires was a turn-based grand strategy game in the same vein as Civilization, with a touch of Total War flared Chinese influences. I actually hope that one day I'll be able to go back to it and give it another go, because the premise was just too cool for me to forget. Yeah, surprisingly enough, this one didn't make it on my list either. So if you're a Firaxis fan, I apologize now. Truly though, this game was great, but when I played it, my experience was marred by low frame rates, long load times, and arbitrarily annoying turn limits. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the shit out of the game, and would probably had more fun with it now, that a few patches have gone into it. But I just haven't gotten the urge to go back and give it another go since then. And with that, let's get to the actual list. I know this game isn't actually out yet, as it's still in early access, but this first-person shooter from the studio that brought us Insurgency is a must-play for anyone who enjoys a little bit more realistic shooters beyond Call of Duty or Battlefield. Soldiers die easily, spawns are limited, and the co-op is an absolute blast. Truly, I can't wait to see the final product in all its World War II glory. This was also a very fun game while I played it, and I put a ludicrous amount of time into it, even before it officially launched. It operates in a similar vein as the old school Master of Orion games. It's a simple game where you control your empire and expand across the galaxy, exploring, exploiting, and exterminating as you see fit. The best part was customizing ships and then sending them into battles against unwary AI opponents, and then blasting their fleets away before they had a chance to adequately defend themselves. While it didn't really do anything new, what it did incredibly well. I love this game. I mean, you can even go back and look at my reaction to the launch trailer and see how excited I was to play it for the first time. While it didn't release exactly as I had hoped, the battles were a bit faster than I liked. It was, and still is, a freaking blast. Any Warhammer 40k fan who has been itching to play a real-time strategy game in space is going to find this one to be quite a hoot. You probably think my list is a joke by now, and you might be right. I mean, since when did the Commissar's opinion really matter anyway? I really need to get someone else to write my jokes for me because I'm just terrible at this whole thing. Uprising Join or Die was re-released this year, so now it mostly works on modern systems. So yay, that's great! But most of you probably have no idea what this game is. Well, this was one of my favorite games growing up, and seeing it again makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Summed up, this is an action strategy game where you control a badass tank that kills everything, while also building bases on designated command points and calling in infantry, tanks, aircraft, bombers, and lasers to annihilate the Peripherous Imperium. It's awesome, despite the dated look. And I mean, hey, some of us really like old games. Personally, I love old graphics. It really brings us back to the good old days. This game was freaking dope. Playing it for the first time was just so enthralling, engaging, interesting. It just really sucked you in. The exploration, the events, finding new planets and aliens and systems. It was all so phenomenal. Then you got to the mid-game and it was but that early game though, shit was so nice. In all seriousness, this game is great, and a must-have for anyone who plays 4X space strategy games. It's also important to mention that the amount of modability alone means that this game is just going to keep on getting better and better as time goes on. Plus, look how often Paradox Interactive just keeps throwing out DLC for games. This game is going to have a long shelf life. I play a lot of strategy games, if you couldn't tell, and most of you are probably like, the fuck is this game? Well, Romance of the Three Kingdoms 13 is a strategy RPG that focuses on the Three Kingdoms era of China, when the Wu, the Wei, and the Shu all battled for control of the country at the end of the Han Dynasty. Now, you can play as any ruler during the time, or as an officer. There's like over 500 officers in this game that you can play as, and you can either try to unite China or help your lord become the most powerful lord in the land. You develop relations with other officers who can then join you and who may help you in the future. So diplomacy is just as useful in the long term as combat. And don't even get me started on combat. The combat is phenomenal. It makes me think a lot of the Ultimate General games, kind of like a simplified version of the Total War games. It's real time and you move your units around. It's great. I really enjoy it. And you actually need officers. The officers affect the various effectiveness of the units you send into the battle. It's just wonderful. I love it. And truly, more strategy games should be like this. More games should exist out there, but it seems as though Western markets don't seem overly fond of sitting and drinking a cup of tea whilst discussing strategy. It's more of, call in an artillery strike on this position and make them go boomskis. But, hey, who knows? Maybe one day. You best believe this game gonna be on here. This game is awesome. I haven't really tried all the new DLC for it, but I enjoyed the hell out of the base game as it was. This has kind of reawakened my love for the Total War series after how much I just didn't like Attila and how god-awful Rome 2 was at launch. My only real complaint is about the same I've had for the past couple of Total War games though. Why are the battles so fucking fast? Why are we running here? I find it hard to believe that 2,000 dwarfs are gonna cut through 4,000 orcs in 3 to 8 minutes. That's a load of grot feces if you ask me. I don't see how that much killing can happen in the time it takes me to blow my load. Yeah, you didn't see that shit coming. In all seriousness though, the world is beautiful, the soundtrack is the best in quite a few iterations, and the battles are everything I wished for. So truly, Total War Warhammer easily grabs a spot on my list. Alright, so I'm running out of ways to say awesome, and I've said it like 50 times for half of these games, so this game is magnificent. Some people didn't like the new UI and how streamlined the game was. I, on the other hand, absolutely did. Hearts of Iron 3 was not my cup of tea, but Hearts of Iron 4, I'd play quite happily. Boom! There's your Christmas rhyme, you fucking animals! We're done, go home, fucking let's retire, go to Djibouti! Hearts of Iron 4 wages war on a scale that no other game I've ever played depicts in such an incredible manner. The scale is ridiculous. Millions of soldiers engaging in battles. From the equipment your troops are using to the number of casualties you are taking in the entire war, detail is just oozing out of every corner. I think it's also worth mentioning that I did one of my favorite series of all time on this game, which I'm sure some of you probably remember as the after action reports where I played as Communist China, and where hundreds of millions of soldiers died in a multi-decade war. Seriously, if you like grand strategy games, this is the apex, and you owe it to yourself to give it a shot. Yeah, this one is a late addition to the list. I actually just started playing it this week, but I am already hooked. Seriously, this is the best Civil War game I have ever played. I repeat, ever played. The features of this game are numerous and include intricate detail on troop equipment, all with varying stats, the ability to customize your various divisions, including their names, persistent campaign that rewards players who succeed and punish those who fail, and ever more challenging engagements and battles that control in an easier fashion than a Total War game. What's more, battles can last whole hours depending on the objectives and the troop counts. Seriously, this game was like Total War was back in its prime with Medieval 2 and Rome Total War, the original. And it's not even finished yet. It's still in early access. And finally, here it is, my game of the year. I make the same joke every time, just like every other YouTuber on the planet, but my game of the year is... Do you really think that sticking dicks in butts is my idea of the game of the year? Come on, guys. I have fucking standards. What is this shit? Plebeians. If this comes to a surprise to you at all, then that's fair and probably valid. You don't follow me that much. Most of you don't know I play the shit out of this game. Truly, half the reason I don't do as many videos anymore is because I'm playing Overwatch to gather loot boxes, or because I'm competing in nobody tournaments against nobody opponents with nobody teammates because I'm a nobody esports player. Haha. Truly, with my time in Overwatch, I feel a myriad of emotions that make up the human experience, from happiness and anger to depression and crippling disappointment, even savage hate, and then giving no fucks. What else could one want from a game? Overwatch, for those who are unfamiliar with a massively popular team-based shooter from Blizzard, it's a 6v6 first-person shooter where players cooperate in a competitive environment to secure objectives, push payloads, and crush the enemy team. There's a wide assortment of characters who fill various roles such as DPS, tank, and support, with new heroes being pumped out on a basically monthly basis. The gameplay is fast-paced and addictive, and the reliance on team comp and skill really shows when playing a competitive gameplay. Honestly, the amount of time I've spent in this game is a lot. And I'm still only Diamond! Maybe I should just stick to being a D-level YouTuber with shoddy narration. But it's just so satisfying to headshot people with Hanzo. And with that, there it is, my top 10 games of 2016 in no particular order aside from the fact that Overwatch is pretty much my favorite. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope it wasn't too cringeworthy. Be sure to share it with your friends and like it and all that good shit. I also hope that next year I get my lazy ass to do a proper Christmas special instead of being a lazy ass playing Overwatch. Get loot boxes, cause let's do it! Yeah, but who am I kidding? That probably won't happen. Ha ha! Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.
Play of the game.